All right, what's going on, everybody? Ryan Ogren here with Money Make Marketing, and today we're going through what most manufacturers are doing when it comes to their marketing, okay? And to do this, I actually broke it down into Alex Hormozi categories. If you guys don't know who Alex Hormozi is, go and subscribe to his channel. He's got a lot of good business stuff. But when it comes to manufacturers and their marketing, I wanted to break down what they're currently doing because a lot of it doesn't work, but they're spending a ton of money on their marketing, and I kind of want to explain why they're so inflated. And then they have all these beliefs when we come and talk with them, and when we onboard them as a client, they get very surprised about how quickly and easy we're able to generate results. And that's why I'm making this video, just to put it out there that it doesn't have to be as hard as you think it is. And also at the same time, like where you mostly are spending your time right now and why that's not a good use of your time. Anyways, if you guys don't know who we are, Money Make Marketing, we specialize in outreach for manufacturers. We do specifically mostly on the cold side. I don't know if you guys can see my cursor. Let me see if you can see my cursor. Yeah, you can see it now. So specifically on the cold side, so over here, someone that's a complete stranger, we're able to take them and turn them into a customer for a lot of our manufacturers. We just did this with a major household retail brand. If I said the name, pretty much everybody watching this would know who they are. Complete stranger to close deal cash in our client's bank account. Yeah, so we were very good at that process, but essentially we generated $3.55 million in collected revenue for our clients in 2025 using our strategy. So we know it works really well. We make more money than what our clients pay us. That's for sure. So they are profitable on their relationships with us. And that's essentially what you want with a marketer. So I feel like we are able to speak on this with some clout and some credibility. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So most manufacturers are doing what most manufacturers are doing when it comes to their marketing. So there's a little graphic here. The way we split it up, the way we categorize marketing strategies is, first off, there's inbound, there's outbound, there's also warm and cold, right? So warm means people who know you, and then cold means people who don't, right? So companies who know you, companies who don't know you, all right? And then also when it comes down to marketing, there's one-to-one communications, and then there's one-to-many. So you can see here on the side, one-to-one, which is private, and then one-to-many, which is public. There's a bunch of things. I'll start off with listing out and going through the major actual strategies that we see. And then also I'll go through when there's a little bit more leverage involved, when like a CEO or even a vice president of sales is going through and getting these lead getters on their team, like BDRs and such. I'm going to go through what it is, and then I'll go through specifically why it's not the best, okay? But also the pros and cons. I'll just do pros and cons of each. So essentially, we'll start with warm. So let me make sure my cursor is up. I just have to make sure I can see the screen too. All right, can I see? Okay, nice. So warm is people who know you. So a lot of times, a lot of our clients, or a lot of our manufacturing clients, they make most of their revenue just on reoccurring orders, reoccurring work from existing customers, existing clients. So they usually will just sit back and relax and wait for stuff. So they'll wait for RFPs, RFQs, they'll wait for just quotes, they'll wait for requests, they'll wait for whenever the right time is on existing accounts or existing clients. That's just one strategy. There's another strategy, which is going to trade shows. A lot of people will go to trade shows or networking events or other just events, and they'll actually email ahead of time, say, hey, we're going to be at this event. Can we take you out to dinner? All this, that, and the other. And that's another strategy. And the pros of it, like the actual, let me go back to the just waiting. The waiting is good because you know the deals are going to come, but obviously it's bad because sometimes they don't, and they come at sporadic times. We know. And the reason it's not scalable is you need more customers to be able to have that strategy be effective. So just waiting obviously is not going to be the best marketing strategy for you. And then now let's go into the trade shows. Now, sorry, I'm a little unorganized. I'm usually able to like have my iPad and draw as I go, but I just have this image here because I just was redoing our actual pitch to prospects, because we're onboarding new clients now. So if you guys want to apply to work with us, make sure you go to our website and apply to work with us. Trade show. So trade shows are good because it's face-to-face and you have that like personalization, and there's a little bit more effort on the sales team side and the prospect feels appreciated. But it's bad because in that moment at the trade show, like you have a really good meeting and things go really well, but then you go back to your office, it's Monday morning, you send an email, and then you don't hear from them. And it's just because they meet so many people at these trade shows. Also, it's just like obligated, their company obligates them to have to go, and they're just trying to make it through, and then everything sounds good, but then the emotion fades and it just doesn't become a priority. So it sounds all good on paper, but the trade show, like with an email newsletter combination, everybody's doing that and it just sounds the same. Also, they can smell your intention from a mile away. Like when you're at a trade show and you're just trying to talk to a specific person for a specific reason, like that person is just, sometimes they're just trying to be nice, but they know you're just trying to sell them something. And they know like they already have accounts, but they're just trying to be nice and maybe get a free dinner out of you. So there's certain scenarios where that's the case. So we don't think that's the best strategy, because you have to wait for a trade show every single year or every single month or whenever. And then after the trade show, everybody, all your leads are getting bombarded with your competitors, and still they could just not have a need. And it's like you just went to a trade show, you spent 50 to a 200K, and you actually had to go there. I hate having to travel. I don't know about you, but I hate having to travel. And then even then, you're face to face with these leads. You're doing so much work per lead that you just haven't had time to actually focus on anything else. So that's, to us, that doesn't seem like it's the best use of your time. We think we can get a deal closed with just way less effort on your behalf, but have way more impact and way more like actual action in the positive direction than you having to go and meet every lead in person at a trade show. So that's just one tidbit, and I'll explain a little bit more about that later. So that's warm one-to-one, where you're meeting these people one-to-one. And there's more strategies than this. I can obviously go through plenty more, but let's go to cold one-to-one. So this is cold. Cold means people who don't know you. You're just reaching out to them. So this could be cold calling. This is like manufacturers are famous for cold calling strangers and just having to deal with decision makers and all that and the other. BDRs do this, sales reps do this, and it's just not the best. You can do warm calling too, that can be in this people who know you stage, same with emailing and stuff like that, but yeah, that's a little bit more internal. Cold calling is just like, gone are those days. Super pro, it's still personal a little bit, but you can't do it at scale. I guess the pro is when they answer, you're on the phone with the decision maker, ideally if they answer. But con is you're interrupting their day. And two, like you can't scale it. So there's not a lot of high leverage on that. You can, but you need more bodies to do it. Three, you need a script. Oftentimes when you interrupt somebody's day, like they're going to be pissed off at you trying to get off the phone immediately. Just doesn't even matter. They're just like really pissed off that you just stole their time from them, and they answered the phone because they thought it was gonna be something else. And four, like sometimes the cell phone numbers are just not even that good anymore. People are getting new numbers, spam blockers are coming out. There's all kinds of different things where, you know, these two-factor authentication, texting things are getting tougher. So cold calling is tougher and tougher. And there's also a lot of, if you cold call the business, there's obviously a lot of people in the way of that. There's a secretary, that's executive assistant, that are just going to be your gatekeepers. So we don't recommend cold calling. Email sequences are okay. Depends on your cold email strategy. We run cold email, but our strategy is way different than anything else that you probably have seen. And I'll explain that a little bit more here. But if you're just running an email sequence to try to book a meeting, it depends on what your email sequences are. You're probably, if you're running like a traditional strategy where you say, hey, quick question, and then you try to hit their pain points and you send a 3 to 4 sentence thing, then your call to action, interested in learning more, or what, you want to hop on a call. If you're doing that, like there's a pretty good chance you're not getting good results. And that's typically what we've been seeing lately with a lot of manufacturers and their BDR teams. They're running email sequences, whether they're automating them. Sometimes they'll automate them through an actual list building tool, and they actually don't even use a cold email service, which means like they're just landing in spam. So if they even get responses on those campaigns, that's a blessing. But typically with the email sequences, it's a good channel to get directly to your decision makers. We just see poor execution and poor strategy on that front. So the BDRs, usually if you arm them with a good strategy, they can then really scale up a good strategy, and you'll see tremendous lift in results. We did a cold email sequence and we're able to close that major retail brand, but we actually paired it with a fantastic lead magnet. That's where we spend most of our time, and that's the thing that makes it happen. And so if you guys want to know more about that, comment, subscribe, apply to work with us. Then LinkedIn. So we love LinkedIn. We're very good at LinkedIn, but what we see, there's a massive mistake that a lot of BDRs and manufacturers and just sales reps and marketers make on LinkedIn. They just immediately, they try to connect with your prospects and then pitch immediately. And they might not even be posting organic content. Their profile might be all whacked out, this, that, and the other. There's a million different things that's wrong with it. On LinkedIn, the goal is to get them off LinkedIn as soon as you possibly can. And what we found is the same thing, the same strategy. We use an actual lead magnet. If you are just pitching them on LinkedIn, or you're trying to craft and do any of your selling or any of your curiosity-based headlines with your copywriting on LinkedIn, you're losing. You have to do as minimal as possible and offer as much value as possible to be able to get them like through all the crap that's on LinkedIn. That's very important. And also we see a lot of people doing a lot of outreach with no organic posts. People look you up. They want to, that's like the very first thing that they'll do if you send them a message that's interesting. Before they respond, they'll click on your profile and see who the hell you are. Then we see direct mail. So, well, pro on email sequences, you can scale them infinitely. As long as you have good inboxes and good lists, like you can continue to scrape emails, continue to scrape inboxes, continue to send messages until the cows come home. LinkedIn, there are outreach limits, so you can't do that. You have to be very targeted in your LinkedIn approach. That's why we actually pair our strategy. We do both LinkedIn and email, but we do the same lead magnets on both. So that our strategy, we can get scale and actually get decision makers. LinkedIn will actually typically use to target larger companies because larger companies have more rigorous email spam filters. So it's harder for us to email them and get through those spam filters than it is to get through their LinkedIn profile. And larger companies, the decision makers actually got hired through LinkedIn for the most part. So that's why we use that, and that's why we have so much success there. But direct mail. So I've really never seen a good profitable direct mail campaign. It's usually used in conjunction with something else. Funny enough, the deal that we closed with our manufacturing client and a major retail brand, the brand sent our client something in the mail, but they just wanted us to quote, they wanted our client to quote it, which is funny. But I can imagine sending direct mail to an office and addressing it to somebody can work, but it needs to be the right person. And it almost needs to be like a second touch point. I don't think that it's a good way to get the first touch point because they obviously know what you're doing and they'll certainly just accept everything you can throw at them if they're not impressed with it. But if you want to spend money on this and you get the right address and you get the right information, it can work. I'm just thinking for one of our clients, we could do that, but you can't do it at scale. If you're going to be gifting out like cookies or something like that, that's a nifty creative way to get somebody's attention for sure. Like maybe you just call like Uber Eats cookies to their office one day. That's a nifty way to get their attention for sure. And we've seen that work, but it's one-to-one. You're not gonna be able to do it at scale. So you better make sure that it's well received. And I actually like the direct mail and the gifting strategy as a follow-up, a way that you can actually, after you send it to them, after they already know you send them like a lead magnet or something, they know you, and then you just send them something else and as another touch point. I found that is a better way to do it, but just sending it as a cold direct mail gift, a lot of people are very skeptical to accept things from strangers now and open things up that they just have no idea what's going on. It can work, just depends on the execution on that, but you're not going to have a ton of scale. There's a company that's thinking about working with us, and they send their prospects cookies and all this, that, and the other. And I think that's definitely good to an extent, but no one's going to work with you if you just send them cookies. There's millions of dollars on the line. If you just sent them cookies, there's no guarantee that you're going to win that deal. It's not the only thing. It's usually should be just used as an additional thing. And then you got founder manual outreach. So a lot of times we'll see like the president or the CEO of a company that has 130 plus employees doing manual outreach. And yes, the accounts are big, but when they're doing manual outreach out there, like they expect their title to hold some weight. And sometimes it does, but at the same time, they don't have that strategy where it's going to actually open up doors and they're going to be able to close a deal. That's the thing. And also back to the gifting strategy, there was one of my friends, he has an account. They are a chocolate company. And he was running a cold email campaign for them. And he said, hey, we'll use a lead magnet as we'll give you free chocolate. And they had the greatest campaign ever where everyone was like, yeah, send it over. And then they get like free chocolate, but they never get on a call. Then like no deals advance because the lead magnet is so good and the gift is like not correlating with the actual end result. People will take from you. They will take everything you have to offer and not give you anything in return if it doesn't necessarily apply or they smell your intention. So that's that. And then manual outreach, we already talked about that. So it's just not really scalable. And then one-to-many, you got retargeting ads, which could be Google, Meta, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. Like you can run ads on all those different platforms. Google as well, Bing, Chat coming out with ads. You could also be doing organic content. So you could be doing social media, PR. I guess ads would be warm. Wait, so yeah, this is incorrect. This box should be over here. So you have cold traffic. Well, I guess content could be in both. Content can be warm and then content can also be cold because there's people that won't entirely know you, And then you also have the retargeting as one-to-many. So there's that. And then you got your trade show booths. I guess you technically be... Wait, so the one-to-one is meaning like trade show, like one-to-one meetings at a trade show, like in-person meetings. And then the trade show booths, obviously, when you're at the trade show and you have a booth, it's one-to-many. You're trying to set up as many of those one-to-one. So it's both. That's why it's here. That kind of screwed me up a little bit. I didn't create this graphic. This was AI that created this graphic. I might make some adjustments to it, but I wanted to record this video and get it out anyways. So then you have your gifting strategies, all that and the other. We already just talked about that. Paid advertising. So blah. Warm is one-to-many public. And then you have cold, which is one-to-many public. This is people that don't know you. So paid advertising, social media, PR, event sponsorships, trade shows, all that and the other. And then you have your retargeting ads, your organic following, all that, right? So this could be LinkedIn as well. That's another one. So that's that. And then I wanted to touch on this. A lot of manufacturers are just reliant on their BDRs and their sales teams, and for good reason. They oftentimes will think, if I just have another BDR, then like a good one, then I'm going to have this amount of revenue. And that's usually not the case, because those BDRs, they don't have the strategy. So that's the sales reps. And usually they'll have 80 to 100K a year in salary. And the goal is to steal their relationship, steal their book of business. And the problem is usually the relationships don't transfer to you. So they can just leave, and then you're also screwed again. And they could ask for more money, and then this, that, and the other. So hiring sales reps, in my opinion, it's like you're just hiring for their specific network, which is capped. And usually they're out there trying to make more relationships happen, but those relationships aren't happening for the person. They're happening because of the company that they work for. And that's a huge thing you got to understand. And then you have your brokers, distributors, and reps, which is 15 to 20% commission usually, and you don't have any visibility on that side. So we usually don't recommend that. One of our client actually left using a distributor and a broker, and they were on their own for a little bit, and then they came work with us. They were telling us about it, and it was a nightmare. They worked with a lot of major brands through that broker, but they just weren't able to make a ton of money from it, which is terrible. So then you have sales consultants and ABM platforms. These are just, it's hit or miss. Someone telling you what you need to be doing, not actually doing it. It's not the best thing in the world, in my opinion, because their strategy could not work, and then they could just blame you for it. And then you have buying list data and intent data. You still have to use it. You still have to find a way to use it. And all of those things are causing you to lose money and also burning your reputation in our experience. And these strategies, none of them really work, because these buyers, they want strategic partners, not transactional vendors pitching products. In our experience, that's exactly why these strategies do not work. So essentially what our strategy looks like, you guys probably know me by now, like what we actually have cooking, and it looks like this. It's not the entire thing, but essentially what we do is we're able to tailor and do a ton of research on each prospect, because we're better at using AI than a lot of you people out there. As far as research goes, as far as looking up each individual lead, as far as figuring out what are they actually deciding on and what are they actually using right now instead of you. And when we do that, if we know what they're currently using, who their current manufacturer is, or who they're currently using for operations or whatever, then we can actually reach out to them and explain that they have a ton of problems with this, probably guess on what their problems are, and then pitch a solution all within a short little video. And this is exactly the strategy that we use to close like a major retail brand. We did $3.5 million in collected revenue for our clients using this strategy in 2025. It's the reason people want to actually transact. So if you're trying to deal with, the beautiful thing about it is like, you don't have to go to trade shows. You don't have to spend $1 million on advertising. You don't have to do sending like a bunch of gifts and cookies and stuff like that. This is a direct talking about business, talking about their problems, doing more research than anybody else is out there, figuring out what their problems are with their current setup, pitching them a solution to those problems, and that's how we actually get these meetings booked. It's so simple. It's a lot of these people trying to do all these fluffy sales tactics and marketing tactics, and that's just wrong, and that's what's keeping them stuck. I just want to make this video. It's not my best video. I just threw this together. I'm going to probably adjust this thing here in a second, but I told myself I would record one video per day, or one video per workday every day this month, just to get better at recording YouTube videos. So I'm going to publish this anyways. If you're watching this and you're thinking about becoming a client of ours, apply below. And yeah, make sure you have an application in with us, and we'll get back to you. That's pretty much it. Yeah, I'm going to end it now. I'm rambling now. All right, see ya.